Security's always been an issue for us here, like any other company. But since we've grown, it's gotten tighter. We're not proud of it. We don't brag about it. But you never know who the hell's going to walk through the door.
I got a delivery.
Can I see some ID, please?
Well, my hands are kind of full right now.
He said he wanted to see some ID, smart guy.
You don't know how crazy people can be out there. It's dangerous.
Next time, have some ID!
Hey, Rob.
Hey, Coach.
You can't be too careful.
Hammering away at each other. Oh, is this a rematch? They've gone so many times. Ray and Tommy. Oh, they're just flailing away.
We're going to just check in on you, Rob.
Yeah, you can check in. I'm all good down here, Dan. I'm just trying to clean my glasses up a little bit so I can put them on and see through them.
Are you going to need stitches before we fly tomorrow?
Yeah, it will be, but that's fine. But I can't use my page anymore that I have my notes on because it's kind of littered in
It's a
blood.
mess,
We just kind of keep that to ourselves, but nonetheless, good to go. Normal guy would have been carried out of here.
Yeah, there weren't any tears or anything.
No.
You're good. Bring back some memories, did it?
Yeah, it felt good.
Got a fight going on with some fans. Oh, my goodness. I got to tell you, they jumped over the glass. Some fan went right over the glass. Oh, no. They got a hold of him in the bench. He has no business being there. Oh, look at Rob Ray. My God.
This guy sort of sat up there, and he just sort of sat on top of the glass, and he never really said anything. He just sort of sat there, and he stared, and he looked around, and he stared, and, we're kind of wondering, what's this guy going to do? So, we weren't going to really wait to give him the chance of, who knows what he's going to do, all the things that happen.
Listen, when you work for a hockey organization, you have to trust that your teammates will have your back. Dude, good. We're good. No, it's all right, man.
Hey, what are you doing? You don't touch Dan, okay? You don't touch him.
Razor always understands the assignment.
Congratulations to Rob Ray. We look forward to a Hall of Fame induction later this season.
Congratulations, Razor. The family in the house, Julianne, Robert, and Jordan are here. As is everybody for you. Well done, Robert.
Pretty cool. Thank you.
Hall of Famer Rob Ray. Good
Yeah.
to see you again.
Slow year. So
Not at all.
It was slow.
No,
They didn't have
come
much
on.
to choose from. Everybody else is dead.
I don't know if that's accurate or not, but we've talked about it. It's like that's that guy. It's a no-brain slam dunk Hall of Fame. You're one of a rare. You spent so much of your career there. You meant so much to the fan base. You're still there. It's a pretty cool story. I know you're one to shrug it off, and you're not gonna kind of let it be a thing, but
I'm starting to cry.
it's a very sweet thing. We're very happy for you.
I'm teary-eyed, to be honest.
Yeah.
There's some guys I was at supper with last night that would be the same thing. You touched a lot of lives, and we don't need to get too emotional about it. But I know for a fact, guaranteed, just watching this, seeing the family being able to participate is the one that probably means the most.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know what? You sit back and, yeah, we had a lot of good times. A lot of things happened. You did a lot of things over the years, but pretty much now that's pretty what it comes down to. It's, my wife and daughter and son, it's like, that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
And I always kid the day the best thing I got out of hockey was, being able to go to Buffalo, meet my wife, and that's our lives now. And you'd trade it all just to be in that situation without everything that came along with it. So
Kiprusoff was put in, his number got retired last
Yeah.
year. And it was one of those things, Kipper, that's the last thing he'd ever want or ask for.
I don't like
But
this.
it's, you know what? His kids were there to be a part of that.
Yeah.
That's the main point behind it. And just to see
Well, and it's-
Robert Jr. there getting teary-eyed in the
Yeah,
stands, it's awesome.
He's just pissed he's got to get a haircut at the end of the month. So he's and my daughter, she looked at me afterwards and she was like, "Oh, Dad, this is great, but what did you do?"
Yeah.
And I'm like,
But that is part of it. She's being a smart ass about it. But
she's
they
just
didn't
like
get
me.
to,
I love her.
Yeah, some people's they have kids young.
Yeah.
Your kids didn't get to watch.
I didn't because I played one more year after I got married. So yeah, they were not around. But when my son was young, I tried to keep him around the room as much as possible and kind of see the environment and the guys and get to know them and, you know, just that love of the game. So he got to experience a little bit but since then I've had a few times when I've been able to play in, you know, charity games, alumni games, and, you know, you bring them out and play with you just so you have that chance to be on the ice at the same time with them. It's pretty cool.
It's one of those things that I feel like we would say, you know, what would be cool is if they did this. This is one of those things because it's goals, points, those, you know, it's the high scorers, it's those guys that get it. But I guarantee if you were to go back through the course of your career, there will be LaFontaine, McGill, there'll be a lot of people, their favorite player is going to be Rob Ray. It was
most of the ladies.
But well, sure, yeah, that's right. But that's the thing. You could have been the same style of player, had the same numbers in a different city, and it's maybe not the same. You and Buffalo, the way you played and the way you defended your.
I think for a lot of guys, maybe in my situation too, moved around a lot.
Yeah.
You never got the opportunity to stay in one spot.
Yeah.
And, you know, I always joke that I was always the last guy in the team to get signed. I got what was left and all that kind of thing. And it's all true. But I never had desire to explore, to go somewhere else to see what it was going to be like.
Yeah.
And for me, I was in a perfect situation. I was 3.5 hours from home. It was good. My family was always down, family and friends, to be a part of it. It was just the Buffalo itself, the people there, the way we live, it just suited me perfectly.
Yeah.
You know, for who I was. And they were great. I still sit and say to guys, look, you can prolong your career by having the people on your side. And if they appreciate you and like you, they're going to support you. Organizations know that it's going to help you. It's going to help you stay in a spot. And so get involved, do things, you know, be visible, you know, be somebody with the people. Because if they don't like you and they turn on you, then you're not staying there that long. So
yeah,
harder to get guys to do that nowadays. Like you're around the game and it's different.
Yeah.
I mean, we did. You're involved in a gajillion charities and funding and all this stuff. Is it a tougher sell for guys? Like I don't know. I mean, I know guys are still involved.
Guys still do it. Guys still get out and
yeah.
do things. I don't think they're at the level that maybe we did.
Not as hands-on.
Yes. You know, it's more set up. It's all, you know, they all have foundations and things like that. They do a few things individually in that, but not so much just for the organization and any, you know, charity that may need support or help. And, you know, I think a big difference too, we were always out in the community, whether it was, you know, after games,
yeah, 57 West, I mean, you were there,
bars, you know, you're having beers with people, and people look at you like they watch you play. Yeah. But then, you know, an hour later, they're hanging out with you. And I think that side of it is a little different now.
Yeah.
For different reasons.
They're not as, they're in the community, they're not part of the community.
Yes. Because I don't think the people have the same connection all the time to them because.
And on the player side, you almost can't do it because you're going to get
it's a
picked
different
apart.
Now, so.
Whereas when we were going through it, it was like, yeah, be part of the community. They loved you for it.
What's it like? What do you remember getting into that room? You get traded there from Florida.
Well, he's the typical dink that he wants to know where you're at, right? He's shooting pucks at you in practice, and you're like, well, did he just miss a pass? Because he's not very good with the pucks. No. So the first couple, I was like, well, he's just bad at passing. He's not that good. But then it was like, he's shooting pucks at my feet. He's funny. So that you rip one back
you
at
have
him.
to test.
Yes. You
test people just to see how they react, what they do. And then it's either they get in or they don't.
Right. You gotta get clear the robbery.
What are we dealing with here?
And sometimes that first impression or first practice or first day, you carry that the rest of your time there. Like there's no getting away from it. Like if you
can really
use the word dink. If you're a dink, then you're gonna be a dink forever.
Yeah. How now? Because at the end of the career, you go to Ottawa. Prior to that, were you close to leaving? Was there ever a time where you thought I might be done here?
Yeah, I think because I had to sign so many times. I never had the luxury of having multi-year deals. I signed 2 multi-year deals, and that was my very first one coming into pro hockey. It was a two-way deal that was a 2-year and an option. And then I signed one midway through. I played the 2 years, and then they never picked up the option, and I signed a 1-year deal after that. So I signed like 7 contracts in my, but it was always, hey, we want you back, and we're happy with everything, and blah blah blah. But we got to sign this guy, and we got to sign this guy, and we're good. And then all of a sudden it's late August. You still haven't signed a contract, and
hard
you're like,
not to be resentful.
so it's kind of hard at that point to go
Yeah,
somewhere else,
I guess.
And then you get the phone call. It's like, well, we had to pay a little extra for this guy, and it cost us a little more for this guy, and we thought, and this is what we got left. What do you think? And I'm like, well, what am I going to do? Like, you're in no position to, hey, can you throw in a $2,000 plus minus? I collected on one bonus in my whole career. It was a plus minus, and it was like $2,500. But it was fine for me at the time. I was a single guy. Just it's not as if I needed a lot to survive.
Yeah,
and you were just content doing that. So I was happy with it.
We're all getting old,
but it kept us.
Yeah.
But in that case too, it kept you hungry.
I guess
for the role you had to play, if you got content or you didn't do it, then you're going to be out of the game. You saw so many guys at that time in and out. But for me, I think it was good because it kept you going.
Yeah, you may not have liked it or appreciated it at
No.
the time. The extra money would have been nice,
But in
or
the
having
big
some
picture-
security. But in the big picture, was probably worked out.
Longevity, it was way better.
You don't strike me as a guy that was going to get fat and sassy, though. Whether you get a 2
I
or
got
3
fat.
year deal.
I put on 70 pounds after I was done playing. But
Well, you know what I
sassy,
mean.
I know I just go home for my wife and daughter. That's sassy.
Yeah.
But no, I was.
Because there would be some
Hey,
guys
look,
like,
I
I'm
come
going
from a
out
town
there.
like a lot of you guys, 1,200 people. What was I going to do? Like, was I going to say, "Oh, I'm done, and I'm not going to accept this. I'm going to go home"?
I know.
What the hell was I going to do there? Go work on the farm? Go sell farm machinery with my old man? Like,
It's easy. It's easy
No.
to say that, but then you feel almost like they're taking advantage of my good nature.
So
of my
yeah, but
easygoing-
you know what? They take advantage of good nature. I try to get the point across to people at times where you live in a fantasy world. Like you're playing hockey, like you're playing a game you grew up loving, and you get whatever you get paid. It's too much, honestly.
In
Like in reality, it's too much. And so if it's a little less or a lot less than the next guy, who cares?
Yeah.
He was good at not spending it too. Like,
Yeah.
really excelled.
Ever or just
Ever.
No, I have a house full of mattresses.
He's got a few houses full of mattresses and skeletons.
Lindy had some nice things to say when the announcement was made about how much you meant to those teams and how every guy maybe felt a little bigger, just felt a little bit more safe, or it was just nice knowing that you had a guy like you. Who was that guy when you came in, or did you just have to step into that role right from day one?
No, when I got drafted after my 3rd year junior. So for me, it was like a bonus. Hey, I got drafted to the NHL. I'm going to go to a training camp, and this will be the end of my hockey career type thing. And when I got drafted, I went to the training camp and then went to Rochester because I was 19, 20 years old at the time. And John Van Boxmeer said, hey, this is what they're looking for up there. Are you willing to try and do it? And I'm like, hell yeah, like whatever. And that was, at the time, there was Mike Hartman and Kevin McGuire were the 2 guys in Buffalo. And so I'm like, and John Van Boxmeer was the coach. And Boxy probably never got in a fight his whole career. But I'm like, show me, teach me. And that year in the minors, I think I had 46 fighting majors, 440 some minutes of penalties. And you never saw out of your eyes from October till, April when it was over. You were swollen, shot your hands, whatever. But it was the greatest time of my life. You're making 20 grand in the minors and before taxes. And it was, you're loving life. It was the greatest thing ever. And then I got my chance the next year. So to sit there, and he said to me, he goes, you know what, skill wise, whatever, he goes, you play, you might get a shot, you might not, but your chances are going to go way up if you try to play this game. And I'm like, I'm doing it. And it worked. Like the November of the next year, I got my first opportunity and went in and played.
I forget his name. Oh, he's still in Rochester. You lived with him when you started out.
Scott Metcalf?
Yeah, Scotty. Yeah.
Yeah, I played on a line with Scott Metcalf and Kevin Kerr. And the 3 of us lived together. We played as a line together. And it was just chaos every night we're on the ice because these guys could play, they could fight, so it made it a little bit easier. But they were nuts. Like they were like Scott Mack. I remember one night in Halifax, we're in front of the Halifax bench, and we're all three of us are fighting whomever, and like we're all tight together. And Metter's trying to have a conversation with me while he's fighting somebody. I'm fighting somebody in front of the bench. Hey Razor, when we get home from this trip, we got to get some milk. We're out of bread, man. The cereal's almost gone. And I can remember looking at him going, what the hell are you talking? And I remember looking at the Halifax bench, and they're like, what is this show going on in front of us right now? But that's just the way it was. And it was so much fun. But it made it a lot easier with those guys to kind of figure it out along the way.
Would you say that's one of for guys in your type of role, the harder things to do? Because there are guys that, I mean, it's a tough gig. And there are lots of guys that battled it post. Yeah. And some of what I'm getting at is being able to keep it. This is just what we do. So it's just like, don't take it too serious. Like you said, let's just
go. I think that you have to, everybody says, oh, you can't just go and turn a switch on and go play or do whatever you have to do. I think that's not true. Because there's nights you would sit there sometimes for 2 periods, and all of a sudden you get the look from the coach or the pat from the coach, and you knew exactly what you had to go do. So you instantly had to go from staring at broads in the crowd and seeing what's going on to going out and getting in a fight. So it was like, okay, all of a sudden you had to get yourself in that mindset to go do it. After a while, it got easy. It got really easy. I think if you go into a situation when you play, if you're mad and you're angry and you're not thinking your way through it. You had to slow down. And that's something I learned as the older I got. Slow down and think your way through this instead of just going in wailing like an idiot and burning yourself out and getting
mayhem. Yeah.
Was it a thing where you afternoon nap, you can't sleep if we're Detroit tonight, it's fucking Probert, I guess. Great. Like did you get to that point ever, or was that part of it along the way where you're thinking, I'd just assume not have to do this tonight?
Well, you always thought I'd assume not to do it, but yeah, you thought about it at times, because I think back then too that it was such a big part of the game that even after morning skate, when there would be media around, that question would come up. Hey, are you fighting Domi? Hey, are you and Domi going to lock coincide? You and whatever going to get. So that's kind of when it started. It starts putting it in your mind a little bit, and you're thinking about it. But I never really worried about it too much, because just figured if it was going to happen, it was going to happen. I was confident enough by the time after a few years that it didn't matter who it was. Like I didn't think I was ever going to get knocked out, but you might at least do what you had to do.
Yeah.
So no, I never really sat there and let it eat me up.
And I guess it helps that you were really good at it. You didn't lose many.
Yeah, but I wasn't good at the beginning, man. It was like I talked to that minors in that 46 fights. If I came out on top on 6 of them, I remember one day in Binghamton, like literally holding on the ankle of Al Tour, because that's all I was like, just grasping. And that's it. So and the minors, I think, was tougher than when you got to the NHL. The minors, all those
littered with guys,
and those guys, like, they're 30 plus years old, and their families, and they're fighting for their livelihood. They were fighting to survive for the next year. So it was way tougher and more guys. Once you got to the NHL, there's one guy in each team, or a couple guys back then, maybe 2, 3 that you really had to worry about. And that was it. So I thought it got a little easier the farther you went, but there was some guys that you had to be careful. There was not a lot of guys could go out and really hurt you. You knew going in after you experienced it. There was a handful of guys that could hurt you, so you had to be a little more careful. The rest, like that Vial fight, you knew when you're going in with Vial or Domi, or you just lock and load, just keep throwing and throwing and throwing and throwing, and were you going to get hurt? I doubt you were going to get knocked out or anything like that, but it was all maybe show a lot of the time too, and putting, hey, it's an entertainment business. We got to entertain the fans.
Watching you fight takes me. I remember my dad, his big. Here's how. If you ever get into one, like, you probably don't want to. If you can avoid it, just try your best. But if you get in, just do not stop swinging. Don't look up to see how you're doing. Don't think about, am I winning?
That's bad advice.
Just keep throwing
because
until
you start
it's over.
throwing and then you open yourself up sometimes.
Sometimes.
you gotta slow down and think
So
about
if
it. a
you're,
little.
am I getting? Am I
Let
in
the
good
guy
shape?
throw the first couple maybe and get them, and then
Find
come
out
in.
what you're
Wait till he
dealing with.
opens up and
Yeah.
then they can.
I got my
but
nose
back
broke
then,
doing
like
that,
it's
letting the
different
other guy
now.
have
It
the
would be
first one.
easy now because you have video of guys.
Sure.
You could punch it up on whatever. Back then it's like you're going in. There's some kid on the other team, and hey, do you know who this guy is? Is he a lefty or a righty? That's the information you had going into it. So you had no idea. And there was so many guys coming through it. Some teams, every time you'd play them, there was a different person that you'd, may have to go against. So that's what you had. It was very limited. And I think that was good because you didn't have time to, think about it or think about it too much. So
Being a dad now, you think back, what if your son is 20, playing in the American League, fighting 30-year-olds every night? So you're about 46 fights, winning about 6 of them. Like it must have been hard for
what? No, my dad, when I signed a contract, I called him and I go, Dad, and I signed my first contract the night of my first game in the American League. And Joe Crozier came in and he's got a paper and he goes, sign it. I'm like, what is it? It's a contract. You want to play, don't you? And I'm like, hell yeah, I signed it. I didn't know if it was for $1 or $5 million. And find out the next day. But when I called my dad, I go, Dad, sign a contract. He goes, what? I go, yeah, I it was for this. And he goes, seriously? They're paying you to play? And I'm like, yeah. And he was like, what a beautiful world this is. And
Yeah.
he just kind of, that was the reaction you got. So no, it was, I think they had just as much fun with the whole thing as I did because they enjoyed coming and watching. And I can remember lots of nights they'd drive to Roch, drive wherever, to watch you play. And I remember one night I played one shift, got off, got in a fight, got kicked out, and they had drove like 3 hours to come watch me play. And I might have got a minute in.
Yeah.
But that's part of it.
They knew.
Yeah. You ever get tired of talking? Because whenever you sit down to do these things, hey, so tell me about the Domi time.
I get pumped up.
Yeah.
My heart's actually going right now.
Because not every
It's the
guy.
most excitement I've had in a long time.
There's some guys who made their living
Stimulation.
that way, who they don't really want to talk about it.
Maybe those guys didn't do well. I'm kidding. I'm joking. I don't mind it. It was such a part, and it's part of yourself and your career history. It's
that was the point I was saying earlier, was that he didn't take it.
Yeah.
Obviously you took it seriously. It was your job and you knew this is what I need to do to be able to play in the NHL. But the approach that Razor always had was just like his dad said, they're paying me to,
it's business.
Yeah.
I'm getting paid to play hockey like this. Jesus, I better stop complaining. Like life ain't all that bad.
Hey, that first year that I got all those fights and penalty minutes, and you're talking about pay with my signing bonus and my year's salary.
Yeah.
I made 13 grand.
It's not a lot.
I could sit at home now and get unemployment or whatever else they give away now that make more than that.
Yeah.
So you did it for the love. You just did it because it was awesome.
Yeah. I think it's cool that this is happening because there's just going to be a generation that they know you as the guy on TV. You're the color guy.
The kids
with the
now.
Sabres. Oh yeah, you used to fight back in the day. There'll be so many of your classics that'll now be coming up, leading up to the Hall of Fame. I think even if a guy like John, oh yeah, Rob Ray, he was okay. That's different than fighting in today's day and age. I would think
A little different.
people are going to have a bit of a new appreciation for you.
Well, there was probably more punches thrown in that myself and Denny Vial than there has all season on our team.
Probably.
We're at game 40 something.
Yeah.
It just doesn't happen anymore. It's just not. And when you see it, everybody is like, oh my God, you see that fight last night? And it's great when it happens because it is part of the game. And I go back to the entertainment side. We're in an entertainment business. All of a sudden it changed to the coaching and that changed it to wins, losses. Oh, we got to win. We got to win. Even if it's the most boring game in the world, if we won 2-1 or 1-0, it's great. This is a fantastic night. Well, not really, because the 18,000 people in the stands are going home. This is boring as heck. So
I saw that you and Ty had to sit down.
Yeah.
Leading up to this.
Yeah.
Obviously now we know
again. This was a couple of years ago.
No, we did a few years ago
Okay.
with Ty, and we did it in the summertime, and we dropped the jumbotron down in the building. We had couches and Andrew Peters, and we sat and we went through all 13 fights that Ty and I had in the NHL, and talked about each one of them. And it was really cool.
Yeah,
really cool.
There again, it helps that you didn't take it too serious. There might be some guys I don't need to sit down with him and talk about our 13 fights.
You know what? I think that all the fights I get in over 234, whatever it was in the end, I don't think I really hate anybody. There's nobody. I walked away from the game hating a handful of teammates more than guys that I fought.
You want to name names?
No,
no, it's not worth it.
There's a couple still in the business, but no, you didn't hate people.
Yeah,
I don't hate anybody.
So what?
Like Ty, like now I text Ty, talk to him all the time. He comes in and watch his kids play.
Yeah,
It's hey, I'm gonna be at the game tonight. You hook up, shoot the shit for a while, and see what's going on. We've done stuff for each other over the years, but people think we hate each other because we fought each other. Like, well, maybe you disliked them a little bit at the time, but now, no.
Yeah, it really was a crazy setup with you two. I've never had a chance to watch it. I've seen clips from it and seen you guys were at least cordial with each other and that, but it was kind of like Domi and Probert when these two teams would meet. And for you, Ontario home, going into Maple Leaf Gardens and stuff like that, it was awesome for you, I would think.
Oh, the one of the best things that when we had a chance to play is you were able to play in the old Maple Leaf Gardens, the old Montreal Forum, the old Boston Gardens, all those kind of places. The Odd was awesome. Like, it was rat infested, it was falling apart, but it was awesome to go play in.
Yeah.
Boston, the same thing. Rats running across the floor in the middle of the dressing room. It's just like, oh well, nobody cared, or it was just getting out in that environment. It was just unbelievable.
Yeah. Now, I think you told the story on the radio show about you and Ty before the draft.
Yeah.
How does that go again?
We had the same agent at the time, Rolly Thompson, and it was always in Montreal back then. And Ty lived in Toronto, and Rolly was up there, and so literally, the car pulls into my driveway and heading to the draft, all excited, not kind of knowing what's going on, and Rolly driving, Danny Dalou's in the front seat, Ty was in the back seat. I opened the door and I'm like, oh, here we go. So because we had played junior,
I was going to say,
so you played in Peterborough, I was in Cornwall, so you had that kind of conflict early before you even got to the NHL. And Ty never shut up the whole time from my house to Montreal. It was about a 3-hour drive, and it was just like you're just sitting there and you just shut up. You just wanted to. Anyways, we end up going to the draft. We shared a hotel room. We got in a little scuffle in the room as soon as we got in there, and I kind of banged his head off the nightstand, and he got clipped a little bit. And we're like, oh. So we stopped instantly and calling Rolly, going, oh my God, this is what happened, and we got it taken care of. The next day he gets drafted, I get drafted. You have a cool night in Montreal. You drive home the next day, pull into my driveway, I get out, see you guys later.
Yeah.
And the next time we really saw each other he was in Winnipeg, and we got in a fight, first time on the ice, and that was it. And it went from there.
It's like, if that's bad planning, putting you two in the same hotel room.
Well, it didn't last long. We fought 13 times. That would have been 14 times plus what we did in junior. And he's 1-13. So it actually worked out. It was fine. I was happy to give him one.
You're quite the scorekeeper.
Yeah,
it's good. Yeah, it's good.
And the night he got me was when the tie down change.
We were out for supper
talking
last
last night. And I always wore a goalie jersey because I like the bigger arms.
Or go naked.
Yeah. But all of a sudden you had to tie down. And I'm like, well, if I got to tie down on the back, and we're thinking about lifting the jersey up and all that kind of thing. And I'm like, Georgie, tie me down on the front too. So they can't. So I had to tie down on the front and the back. So it went from coming off to going nowhere.
Right.
But the problem we didn't think about was it was a little too long still on the front. So Ty lifted my jersey up, swung it over, and my head was in my arm like this. And I'm like, son of a, I could see him because through the jersey, but I couldn't hit him. So this was an exhibition, and I actually go off the ice and Georgie's standing there and the trainer, and I lose it on him. It wasn't his fault, but I lose it on him. And he goes down and I'm kicking him and then he's getting up and he's throwing sticks at me. And, 5 minutes later, we're sitting there together and we're like, we better fix this.
Yeah.
And that was, so it went from tight on front and back. And from there, it was no problem.
Georgie Babcock has been there longer than you, or
no? Georgie worked at Saberland when I first got there. He helped clean the ice and that. Then he started taking the equipment from the practice rink to the plane, and then he started working. So I've been there 36 years. So Georgie's probably 34.
Right in there.
Yeah.
Do you think that the tie down stuff came in? You had a big part of that because
I think that from what I understand, a lot of general managers at the time were bitching because when the jersey came off, you had nothing to hang on to.
Yeah.
And it's an unfair advantage. Well, maybe I was smarter than the rest of your
That's what they said.
dummy on your team.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, we figured it out. And it's kind of cool when they kind of half-ass refer to it as the Rob Ray rule.
Do
but
you think he had any influence? Yeah. All the influence.
Because I think you think back to all of them, you more than anybody else would be skating to the box or off to the dressing room with maybe your shoulder pads on.
Yeah, because there was a lot of experimenting going on in that time of how to do it. Especially in the minors, guys were spraying stuff on so you couldn't hang on.
Yeah.
They had Velcro inside their arms, so you grab on and the Velcro comes off, so you could still use your arms. Some had them, the whole sleeve came off. So there was a lot of things. And Jim Pizzatelli, our trainer, we called him the fight doctor. And he was every day, it was like, let's try this. So there was always something new. It just came to about when the jersey came off the one time because I wore big. And then all they had was the shoulder pads. I'm like, well, if they got the shoulder pads still, so I cut all the straps off the shoulder pads, put Velcro on the cups here. And so it stuck to the jersey. So boom, as soon as, and it was extra large jersey. So it's gone. And then, there'd be nights you'd in a fight and the guy'd be like doing good. And all of a sudden it's like, he looks and he's got the jersey in his hand and it's like, now what do I do? And his eyes would be, and then you go at it. So, and then there's the odd guy that, the jersey would come off. Dave Brown. I remember the fight with Dave Brown in Philly. And Dave at the time, I was like, oh my God, this guy is unbelievable. Getting a fight. We start the fight. We're squaring off. And all I can hear is John Muckler on the bench. And he's screaming at me, Razor, don't do it. Don't do it. I'm like, too late now. I'm fucking ready to do it. And so we got it and got him good. And both of our jerseys ended up coming off. I caught him at the end. And he just kind of came in and it was like, so it was, so when you got in a situation when the other guy's jersey came off too, because then they thought they were going to try to do the same thing, but it didn't work the same way. Sometimes there was still something you could grab. They always want to wear a t-shirt, because they weren't as good shape as I was. Cause I was like, come off. And then I started doing a couple times. I did couple companies back home when they're like, hey, wear my t-shirt underneath. So when the jersey come off and the t-shirt's on underneath, and I did it for Lenova a couple of times and Joey Tadaro, and it was awesome. Just kind of
the league would go whiny with you probably.
Yeah.
Can't be doing that. We were saying the other day watching Fitzpatrick at the Bills game doing the thing, taking his shirt off. We said, we should get Rob Ray should be doing that. He'd get the fans. Just like they've seen you without your shirt so often.
I still at this point, even though I put on a lot of weight, still look better than he does. He's a hairy bastard, eh? I only got like 3 or 4 right here and a couple around my nipples. That's it.
That's Bills are doing okay.
They're doing good.
Are they paying attention in Buffalo? It's kind of a big deal.
Yeah, it's kind of a big deal. But you know what? They deserve it. They're doing well. Josh is sick. And Josh is a person, great guy. He does everything. He's a perfect guy for our town. That's the Bills. It's the other day, it's sub-zero weather. The place is packed. My kids were there. It was like, it's the greatest sporting event going when they're doing well in the playoffs like that. So fingers crossed it keeps going.
It's hard not even for people that don't maybe have a rooting interest to look at. So Daniels, you got a lot of time. You're just a rookie. You're gonna have a lot of time maybe to win. And Chiefs, we've seen you win, and Eagles, you just won a few years ago. It's got to be the Bills. It's got to be the Bills this year.
But if for anybody that's never gone, Rhett, it's everything leading up to the game. Like my neighbor, if it's a 1 o'clock, he's leaving our neighborhood at 4 o'clock in the morning. Like they're getting there, getting their spots, getting it set up. It's the whole pregame, the party before. So probably 70% of those people are bombed before the game even starts. And then
Yeah.
once they get in, they just go.
They're professionals.
They are. They're good at it. And it's a lot. Like, you could go there and not even go into the building. And we've done it before when we were
Just
playing
tailgate.
and go just for the tailgate. And I remember one day we had this van thing that had a TV in it. And Grant Fuhrer and I are looking at each other going, do you really want to go in and mess with all that? No. We sat there. We had it on TV in this little van. We had our whole thing set up outside. You had to take a leak. You go out there, want to go get something to eat. The barbecue was right there. And everybody else was in. That was one of the greatest days watching the game ever.
So-
Open up the door when they'd score. You'd hear the building. You'd hear all the cheers
Yeah.
come like you were in there. Shut it again. Get warm.
Yeah. So are you a big deal when you're walking through the tailgates? Or fucking Rob Ray, come have a beer.
I don't go to
come
the
have a
games. I
beer."
don't go because I wouldn't be able to enjoy it because it would be like the Beatles, man. Like they couldn't go anywhere either.
Sadly, it's not even that far off. I don't know if it's the Beatles, but people.
But it would be, right?
Razor,
Come have Sunday, come drink, come
Yeah,
drink.
and you know what? I let my kids go do it themselves. Then they can go enjoy it.
Yeah.
If they go with me, it's not fun.
So what's the vibe? Because I think we were talking about it for a guy like Kevin Adams. It's like, well, teams in Buffalo can do well. Well,
Yeah.
okay, Sabres, when are you guys good? Yeah, I just think that's probably got to be some of the sentiment. Is it motivating? Is it good for the Sabres to see that winning can happen here? It can be done, that sort of thing? Or-
I think it's good for the player to see how excited and crazy people get over the Bills right now, and that can be them as well. That you
And that
if
some
you do
stars
well-
are real happy to be in
Yes,
Buffalo,
and they want to
and
be
they
there.
can go anywhere and be the best.
No, I think it's great. It helps out a lot, and for guys, I know the guys friends with a lot of those guys. They interact because the same ownership, so there's a lot of interaction between them, which is great. And I think, but on the other hand, too, the Bills went 17 years, never made the playoffs, and then they got it going, and now you're riding it. So it shows them too that hey, when you get to that point, it can be very, very good here. And when it's tough, it's tough. The good thing is the Bills are doing really well right now.
Yeah.
So all the attention's
There's
on
no
them.
pressure.
So the second the Bills are done, it doesn't matter if you're doing well or not. All that attention will turn to you eventually, either after the Super Bowl or after this weekend or whenever it may be. You better be ready to go by the time that comes, because instead of having one radio guy there and one newspaper guy and maybe one other person, you'll have 30 people there from that point when they're finished till the end of the year instead of having 3.
He's on the fence. Where are you at with New Orleans? I mean, if they
Going to the game? Nah, I lean towards not going only because I heard that Super Bowls aren't that much fun anyway. So
And it's expensive. Why would you want to go to a Super Bowl?
if your team's in it,
So what? Okay. You go to the Super
I'd
Bowl.
rather go to
If they
Buffalo
win,
and watch.
great.
Yeah.
I would rather sit in Buffalo in the middle
With
if they're in the Super Bowl
Buffalonians.
with all the people
Yes.
instead of a handful.
Will they open?
Because you go to the Super Bowl, how many actually Buffalo people are there? I don't. If half the building is Buffalo people, the rest are half whoever in corporate people.
maybe 20%.
Yeah. So they're not. You want to be where the people are.
I would.
People.
I would rather be with.
We're men of the
in
people.
Buffalo. Yeah.
you are men of the people.
Like if you don't think that there's a Super Bowl that you, even if the arena at the Bills Stadium playing
They'll
it on the
open that
big
up, won't they? I was going to
Hell
ask.
yeah,
they
I
must
would
be selling
imagine
seats
so.
for that.
Absolutely. They
They'd
do it
sell her
for
out.
yeah. They would sell it in a second.
Just pray for no.
People would
snow.
all just be there. It'd be like a regular game day, other than watching it on the board.
Yeah.
Because they're all together.
You buy into all this referee stuff with the Chiefs? Is it real? Or is it just people whining?
Yeah, you get the people bitch about refereeing at every pro sport and ours too. And come on.
Just hope it doesn't happen this weekend.
Just got to battle through it.
If it happens, it happens. It happens. You just
There's nothing. The Buffalo curse or whatever. It's not a curse, but the fact that the way the Sabres and Bills have lost championships, and how's it going to get worse?
no. Wide right, no goal.
Yeah.
4 in a row. Like
I'll tell you what, if the Bills or the Sabres ever do win, I don't care where you live in this country or states, go to Buffalo for the party.
Well,
because
you
it
say
would be
that-
a month long.
But I would be scared. I feel like that city would melt. Like it would just melt into the lake.
Buffalo's different. They're mature. They know what's going on. They're not going to be that'd be like Vancouver turning over cars, lighting thing on fire, all the kind of stuff. No, we would appreciate it.
Yeah.
You said that. What would a parade look like
Oh,
in Buffalo?
I don't know. I don't even know where they'd have it.
Where
but
would they have it? What would it look like?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Never thought of it really, but who cares?
Yeah.
It's at the end of the parade where you'd want to be.
Sure.
To sit there and wait to get there. We went to the finals in 99. Okay, we lose. We go like a day or so later, right in the middle of town. They had a stage set up, and we're all like down and out, and like, yeah, we got to go to this thing. The city wants to put how many people are there? 30,000+ people. For us, we had just lost, and the guys were up, down and out. We're like, what the?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, you couldn't fit any more people in this area. It was 30,000+ people. That's how excited they were, and we lost.
Yeah. It's the cool thing about that city is you hear, Detroit's hockey town. You see all these. Buffalo hasn't had a chance to flex how great they are. We see them going through tables.
Wow,
we hear about the heartbreak, but you've never been able to see them truly enjoy a championship. Or
It's either going to be off the charts or there won't be a person on the street because they won't know how to act.
I was at the dinner last night. I said that I don't think they make the playoffs this year, the Sabres. But when that team makes the playoffs again,
just to make the playoffs,
that building is going to go wild. Like that
nuts.
will be an intimidating place for another team to play.
Absolutely,
that building will be crazy. 14.
We've experienced it. It's there's times it doesn't matter if you get there, man. They're there.
So why is it taking so long?
I
thought when Tuck came in, he's like, "Hey, I'm this is where I want to be. I want to be a Sabre." It's like this team, they're starting to turn the corner, and they just haven't gotten there yet. And it doesn't look like this year's the year either, potentially.
You got a lot of younger guys.
Don't give me that bullshit.
Why you don't put me in the spot, man? I'm like,
Rhett, why hasn't it happened? What's the?
Because they don't play hard enough, and the goaltending is, you don't know what. Like the Ukapuka was unbelievable the second half last year, wasn't he?
Yeah, he did from January.
I would just say that in the league, you need an exceptional goaltender. I think the Sabres offensively have good players, but don't have they're kind of like the Flames, where you don't have a McKinnon or two guys that just go, I don't care. We're going to win tonight. I'll just hang on to the puck the whole game and take over. I think they've got really good players, but they don't have a superstar. I think in the back end, Dahlin is as close to a superstar as they have, but it's tougher to have that influence. And Powers isn't where he needs to be yet. And so
it's power,
whatever. Sorry, get it right.
It would be interesting in those years that they have that top pick if it's not a D-man. What if it's one of those? What if it's Bedard, or what if it's like a generational forward?
Well, Eichel was supposed to be that. McDavid was supposed to be that. That's the other thing for the people of Buffalo or NHL fans. Everyone forgets that they lost the frickin' lottery.
Yeah.
Like they have McDavid, the whole situation.
Go back to Crosby.
Yeah, it's completely
sure. Buffalo. See, it's a Buffalo thing.
They're gonna figure it out.
Yeah.
I think they're coming.
They're coming.
They've got to. I will say this: part of the problem with the Sabres is what's their identity. It's not super skill. It's not defensive. It's not goaltending. You're right. Like they don't have a strong identity.
So how does that start? Who starts that? Is it the coach? Is it a veteran?
The coach can only say and do so much.
The team has to adopt it. Do you think Rob Ray was a Buffalonian? There was an identity there. There was a type of.
But we played. There was years we struggled a little bit, but you were considered the hardest working team in hockey.
You were going to battle. You were going to the odd,
and every night you were going to go. It didn't matter, win or lose, you were going to go. But I think it's something across the league now. It's
for sure
struggle with it, but you talk to so many people in every team, and it's like they're trying to figure it out. The players have changed so much.
And doesn't it seem you got kids that are good players, and you talk to them, and I know you talk to him because your kids play, and he's, if you just go and finish checks in the offensive zone and chip pucks in and
But that
stop
the game has changed so much. It's all 1v1 now, and it's all skill, and it's like
until
you
it's
know,
not,
you talk
it
to
doesn't
yeah, I
work.
know, but you talk to guys out there. What do you look for when college guys, junior? Hey, you know, everybody's so cookie cutter now. They're all small, fast, and you just hope when you pick a kid, you get the right personality that he fits into a situation. I go, what if you got a big kid, strong hits, goes in front of the net, responsible defensively, maybe kill penalties, physical? We'd be lining up to sign him. They're not out there. So that's the situation.
Mm-hmm.
The whole hockey environment has changed from minor hockey all the way up through. So when you go to look for these kids, there's very few of them that can do it.
It's tough seeing guys like Eichel move on, win a cup, Reinhardt.
Yeah, but then you can go
explodes,
back to in those cases, there's a lot of, for so many years, there was so many different coaches, general managers. There was a couple of general managers along the way that we had a pretty big war chest. And the next thing you know, they're doing stuff and you got nothing left and nothing to show for it.
Yeah.
Maybe trying to be a little too over aggressive or, trying to. So, yeah, I don't know. I've never been in that situation to sit and try to figure out what's the best way to do it or how to do it. But it's just, I think, a lot of trial and error until you get that right person. And you got to remember, the league is so much younger now, too.
Yes.
Okay, we're one of the youngest teams in the league. I think average age like 26 or something like that. There's those 35 plus year guys that you would in the past would lean on to be your leaders, to be the guys that show the way, maybe, ice time and that going down a little bit, but they were respected. They've been successful. They're not out there anymore. So a lot of these guys are trying to figure it out on their own. And if you don't have that super leadership or those guys that have been there did it, it's hard sometimes because it's through trial and error.
You think it's still a situation for free agents where Buffalo is just a no-fly zone?
No,
because I wonder if it's maybe I'm off.
I don't think it's. I think it's more not. Sorry, it has less to do with Buffalo and more to do with not being in the playoffs. That would be the harder sell for a player. I think is. I'm fine signing in Buffalo. Give me, how are we getting to the playoffs? Like, are we playing in the playoffs this year? Because I'm not going to Buffalo unless I'm getting way overpaid. Just, you know what I mean? I think most players would probably like, I'll go to Buffalo, but there better be a direction here. Do I believe in the direction they're going as far as free agents?
Yeah, it depends on the age of the player, situation of the player. But, okay, Winnipeg.
No, I know.
There's a lot of places. I don't even care. Some places that are nice weather, they're not a team I'd want to play for, But guys, if they're getting a contract, they're getting just that what they feel they'll go anywhere and play.
Yeah, because what I was going to say is if some of Bill's mania, if guys see like that town is friggin' crazy, if they can see what kind of fans there are and that. It's got to rub off, and you're right. It's got to be winning at some point.
And everybody's different. You got guys that want to be in a big city, but that's not everyone.
There's guys that just want a big contract. Yes. There's guys that just want to be on a winning team. There's guys that want to go somewhere because their wife doesn't want to go.
They want to go somewhere quiet.
It's whatever. There's so many variables to it that just to point at one thing and because you don't have this. No,
because Detroit's not a beautiful city necessarily, but guys are pretty happy to go there for a long time with a chance to win.
You know what I found around the league? Everybody that's got a city that's tagged as, not a great place to be. Any city you go into, the city, 90% of them suck.
Well, some of these big cities aren't so great.
No, and you walk outside 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes outside of town. It's the most amazing place you ever been. And I think that's the part. Like, guys come into Buffalo, they get on the airport, they come down the 33 in the city. They don't see anything.
No,
they don't even see. You could go 10 minutes any direction, and you're the middle of the country or totally different world.
Got the lakes.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
And it's like that anywhere. It's like that in any city.
So what about this year's Sabres? They're here tonight.
Yeah, gone tomorrow.
They were big win in Vancouver the other night. How much of that was on the Canucks? Sounds like there's some stuff going on in Vancouver.
Yeah, but I heard in Vancouver too, a lot of that's being blown out of proportion a little bit. So what do you really know?
I don't know. They aren't winning a ton.
No, well,
7 wins in the last 23 games, I think, for the Canucks.
That's
Didn't you
right.
say that yesterday?
But what have we been?
Hmm.
We had a little tough stretch there. No, our guys, I'll tell you what, when our guys are on and they play fast, they play the pressure game of pressure down low, pressure on the walls, pressure everywhere. Awesome. If you're not being aggressive and winning those battles along the walls and your goaltending's not, up to par, then they can have some problems. But when they're going, it's like, holy, woof, this is great. When it's not, sometimes it can be, oh my goodness, what just happened?
Casey Middlestad for Bowen Byram. Do it all.
Bowen Byram's awesome.
Yeah.
Casey Middlestad, what do they want to move him again? They're talking about not happy with him. Bowen Byram's an awesome guy, awesome player. Just an old boy that just loves the outdoors, hunting, fishing, and plays hard every night, plays through stuff. Nothing bothers him.
Another name that's been out there trade-wise is Cousins, and I don't know if that's really true. If it's been out there,
I think because he's a big center and
people
maybe
want him.
not putting up the numbers that. But he's so skilled. He's so fast. I think as Dylan Cousins just gets a little bit more. I want to say hockey mature, not personally mature, hockey mature. That he's going to be a really good player. Because he's got
he'll get savvy.
And he wants to, and he's hungry, and he's eager, and he wants to be good. He wants to win. Sometimes you young guys like this get big deals, and it carries an awful lot of pressure.
Sure.
And until somebody else signs that next deal, then you kind of forget about that guy. Then he can settle in and play his game.
Is he a guy that if he reaches or gets, that's who Dylan Cousins should be, like max potential kind of thing. Is he a big scorer? Is he?
Oh, he can score.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, he can score because he's got a great shot. Very good penalty killer defensively like that. He does a good job with this. But offensively, he's big enough. He can take the puck to the net. He's goes to the front of the net. The guy, as I said, a good shot. No, he's got all the tools.
Does he remind you of anybody? It's always hard. I had heard somebody talk about a guy like Gabriel Landeskog. Play in all situations. Guy can score big. Leadership qualities, all that sort of thing.
I don't know Landeskog really well to compare it to that, but
I mean, he won a cup, so that's
I got lots of guys that won a cup and never have on my team.
So this guy bought dinner last night, or how?
I don't know who bought dinner, but I know I didn't have to buy it.
Kenny Sutton was there.
Sutton,
wow.
Jeff Sanderson, Cruiser,
Paulie Cruz.
Brought the entertainment, Georgie Babcock.
We really need to have Georgie come on one day.
Oh my goodness.
We don't have to talk. You just get him.
Just ask him one question, and 2 hours later, you'd be like shutting her down. It's awesome. This is a guy, like we talked about coming in, but he's so passionate about the game. He loves the Sabre. Everything about it. He would do anything for any guy in that room, and he has. He's done it for both of us.
Yeah. And
never expect anything. Just I'll do it. Whatever. If this makes things good, then I will do it. But just and he's got a great feel for when things are tough and they need to be loosened up a little bit. He'll do something so crazy off the wall that it's like you forget about everything that's going on. You're like, what the hell just happened? From lighting his hair on fire to smashing stuff to hurting himself to it's just awesome. Like you couldn't have a better guy in a dressing room.
He's all in.
He's all in, and anything. You're talking team guy. He's an ultimate team guy.
How's being on the road? Because the
road's nice now.
You were very happy not being on the road. You were not looking forward to having to travel.
I had a little time off there over Christmas, and it was nice. So it gave me a little chance to kind of recharge. I got a little time there, so I took 3 or 4 years.
You'll be fine with going on the road once the younger kid is out of the house and you're not driving them to hockey. I'm guessing that you still miss.
I missed this. My kid got hurt and just before Christmas, so he punctured his spleen skiing. So we were in the hospital, whatever. So I took the time off, and it was a great week because a kid that Rhett and I's kid played with, his mom passed away. They go to the funeral. Right after the funeral, my wife drives to Ellicottville, gets rear-ended turning into Tim Hortons, tears the bumper off her brand new truck, drives from Tim Hortons, drops my kid off at the ski hill, and goes to our house. 20 minutes later, she gets a call that he punctured his spleen. We spent the next week in Children's Hospital with him. We go home for Christmas. My daughter goes to Hawaii. She's not around. And then my wife has to go to Roswell, which is a cancer hospital, on the 26th, has a procedure, comes out. And I'm like, great holiday. This has been awesome. And it was like we were heading to St. Louis, Vegas. I don't know what it was. And I'm like, get me the hell out of here. I got to get on the road. I was never so happy to get back on the road again. So recharged.
I just threw something into the drive there. I'm not sure because obviously your boy's not playing, but somebody just gotta sometimes out of the woodwork things show up. What's the boy gonna see? Is he gonna make the
Start
show?
skating again?
Start skating on Tuesday.
Yeah.
He's got to start skating.
The show.
See. Yeah.
No. Our ultimate big plan is find a rich girl. Like if hockey, whatever, you know,
good move.
We have fun playing hockey.
Yeah.
But we're really, it's coming to the point, 16 now, driving. It's like, dude, we got to start finding one here. Even if you get hooked up with her now, just be friends that, you know, in mid-20s that, no, you got to marry money.
At 16, find one in the mid-20s.
Yeah, but if you wait,
be a forward
if
thinker.
you wait
That
too
might be
long,
gone.
all your other buddies have gone through that, and you don't want to
No, you don't want
go
that.
to something that, and so you got to kind of just keep it on the side. And
Sure. So for you got married at the end of your career?
I was like 35,
Yeah.
34.
So were you guys together a long time?
A
Or
year.
Is she a Buffalo girl?
Yeah.
So this is Rob Ray.
No, she had no idea who I was.
Really?
She really has no idea. When I came
She
home
still
and I
doesn't
said,
know,
and when
yeah.
I came home and said, hey, I'm done playing, I'm
Yeah.
finished. She goes, she never said, oh, that's great. She goes, does that mean I don't have to go to the rink anymore? And I go, yep. She's like, that's awesome. And so, and then it's only been the last year that she actually figured out hockey, watching our kid as long as she has, that now she's turned into like the ultimate hockey mom, knows everything about it.
Yeah.
A lot of opinion.
Because that's
Yeah.
pretty rare, I would think, to live in a city like Buffalo and not be into hockey or not have a
I found a sheltered one.
yeah. She found something though.
No, this
Oh,
is
what a
just the
catch.
luckiest girl in town.
Yeah, she
What a
I
found
tell her that every day.
Yeah. This
What?
this got dropped off yesterday. I don't know if this may not even be the same team, but I'm supposed to share this with at least you, Retro. You can play it, Jack. There is play-by-play underneath it, but this looks like it's some overtime.
Comes in.
This is the Junior Coyotes
Inside,
and the
tries
Junior
to center
Sabre,
it. Now they play it back to him. A
guided
mistake
by
there.
one Darcy
Now he plays it
Hordachuk.
back. James has it.
No.
Take it
Oh,
in,
we were
I think
playing
it is.
against
Yeah.
them.
So this must have been
On the power
Was
play.
this last weekend? Maybe in
Shot high over the net.
Or was it in Scots?
Bring it in.
I wasn't there. So if we lose, it's because
Oh, yeah!
that's bad coaching. Right there.
He redeems himself after the miss.
Whoever was on the bench that day for
himself.
this group, it was just bad coaching.
Yeah, Hordachuk says from losing to these guys 9-1 to beating them this weekend, tell Warner the Coyotes are back.
The Coyotes are back. Well, there was no Warner and there was no
That's
Ray
right,
in that
there's no-
lineup, so that's maybe why he got the upper hand.
Yeah, maybe.
Is that his boy?
But
shit?
you know what?
It
We
must
got to.
be.
Hey, you know, who listening to back home, your biggest fans, Georgie Sweetland.
Oh, Georgie's text.
Georgie Sweetland. I told him yesterday that I was going to dinner and then doing this. He's like, "Oh, tell Rat I said hello." And yeah,
We gotta
Georgie Sweetland is like.
I
your
think
ultimate
Georgie's
fan.
one of the few fellows that has researched and brought
Some of our origin
imported
beer,
some
yeah.
origin.
Maybe I should take some home.
Or
for him.
should.
We can set you up. We can set you up.
He's
There
a
you go.
beautiful man.
So do you miss Rhett having Rhett around?
Oh yeah.
Not really. The guy that moved into the house that he was in is actually hooking me up with a few things that
Some medical
procedures that could help along the way. So it was nice. But the guy that moved in, he's got this dog, and it's really crippled up and it's blind. And so I didn't know who the guy was when he first moved in. I'm watching this dog, and he was trying to go up the little 3 stairs and get up 2 and fall back down. Go up, fall back down. I'm like, something wrong? Like what? I just, the guy was out there, and I'm like, hey, dude, you better help this dog get up the stairs. And we got talking, but it's blind and crippled. But the poor thing was trying to get up. I go, I'll come over and I'll build a ramp for you
Yeah.
so it'll come up and you'll be able to get on the deck. So I was feeling bad. Not a big dog lover, but
No way.
I felt bad.
You
for
had
the dog.
dogs. Your dogs.
I got
one now.
I got one now. Yeah, we lost one.
Yeah.
That was about a $20,000
Do his kids swim in your
adventure.
pool?
No, they're really they just moved in, so it's kind
There's
of
Georgie
There's Georgie there. Yeah.
messaging in right there.
Is he? Georgie, I bet you.
George
I
misses
miss
Rhett.
Rhett.
Yeah.
Well, George, I haven't seen you in a month either.
We'll see. Maybe
Prick.
he misses you too. Because it was good. We get the old Rob Ray update. You'd be like shoveling his sidewalk or cutting lawn or whatever
Yeah.
with your tarp off, just kind of keeping us in the loop as far as what you were up to back there. It was nice.
Well, that's the problem with when he was a part of it too. These guys, I snow blow, I cut grass, I take care of, and not one does anybody ever say, "Hey, here's 5 gallons of gas, keep going," or "Here's a cigar," or "Here's a drink," or it's like you just do it.
Wow.
You just do it.
Yeah.
The
And you
shoveler
don't-
just
you don't-
enjoyed watching you barbecue in your gitch. So that was
I don't mind going outside in my underwear. My son will walk by 3 bathrooms in the house to go to the front or back door to take a leak. And
Yeah.
why you do that?
It's a waste
I
of
just
time.
like it. Yeah, but he walks past it. So you never know what you're going to see around our house
I
sometimes.
seem to remember there was do you think it'd be bad if we showed Robert in his probably shouldn't put that on the internet. Rob barbecuing in
No,
his
'cause
gotch or
somebody will
whatever
get
it was.
that and add to it.
Get very excited. Well, we'll take a break. And
I was waiting for a break.
sorry. Just
hey,
raise
we
your
don't
hand.
get you often. And again, this is emotional. Very happy for you. Very deserving.
Am I done now?
You don't need to be. Whatever you want to do.
Okay.
But we're happy for you. We talked about it for a long time. You know what they should do is they should put Razor in the Hall of Fame. And now you and RJ are there, and that is awesome.
Yep.
Very
It is.
cool.
Thank you.
What do you know because it's next weekend, right?
Yeah,
What,
Friday.
they have planned?
31st.
Friday.
Do I have a plan?
Or what do you know what they're doing? Or
I still have to work that night. I got 5 minutes, say what I got to say,
Yeah.
and go over to get in between the benches and go to work.
well, who's going to replace you?
They can't.
It's such
They
a
tried. Marty did those games that I was
Yeah.
talking about. Terrible.
Yeah.
Couldn't understand a word he was saying.
Oh,
So
How is Marty Baron?
Marty's great.
Yeah.
Marty's beautiful.
Everyone loves Marty, right?
Everybody loves. All the women love Marty because of his eyes. He's got like
Yeah,
those
he
cat
does.
eyes,
Yeah.
those really funny colored eyes.
Yeah.
And they don't even listen to him. They just his eyes like put him in a trance or
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah, I saw him. Tell us, and you can only
And talk.
yeah. You read his stuff on Twitter, and you only hear it in his voice. Tell me what you think. The
Yeah.
best Rob Ray memories. That whole thing.
Yeah, and then he'll ask me again tonight. He'll say, "Oh, we went on Twitter, and this is what they say." And, and I'm like, "Okay, yeah, whatever." And I never tells me ahead of time, so I'm like, "Okay."
React.
Yeah.
You just got to react to it, and it's like, "Okay, yeah, man, that was great." I don't appreciate talking about
Yeah.
myself too much.
Well,
I try to at home, and my wife and kids put me down so bad
They're
that I've
not-
just learned a lesson just to shut up.
So are you going back for Razor Night?
Yep. As long as I get to talk, I want to say a few words.
Do you?
No.
No. Maisie's doing it. Brad is.
Oh, yeah, well, he's
We were going to ask Barney, but we're afraid of what he might say. So
it's tough.
at least Maisie can control him a little bit more. He's a little bit more responsible.
Yeah, I saw Barney on X or Twitter saying, "It's a good thing I don't work for the team like Razor because I don't know if I'd be able to hold it in anymore."
He means well. He's a good man.
He's a good boy.
Yeah.
All right, we'll take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Hey guys, thanks for watching. Be sure to check out more of our content right here on the Flames Nation YouTube page. We had a bunch of great long form interviews. You can check out some videos we've done as well outside of the studio. And of course, if you want more writing or merchandise stuff, flamesnation.ca or nationgear.ca. Appreciate you watching.